3 advantages, 1 disadvantage. Welcome you guys, Danny here. We've got the race in 5 days. I'm already after my training. Cyclocross bike is my choice. But I promise you to make the final review. This is not a review really, it's a test of the BigNine NX edition this year before it sells out, because last year the version I was riding on AERO sold out very quickly. But today, to make it even more spicy, I'm gonna compare this one to, just theoretically, to the Scott Scale and Trak Procaliber 6. So let's do this. Alright guys, this is BigNine Lite, alloy frame, NX Eagle drivetrain, and also the Scott Scale and the Trak Procaliber will have the NX drivetrain. The price of this bike, the suggested price on the catalogs, is $1,700. And let me just start with the disadvantage of this bike. Because the NX Eagle drivetrain is something new this year, all the bikes equipped with NX drivetrain are a little bit overpriced. This Merida, Scott and Trak, all brands that give you NX Eagle, which is new, will make you pay a little bit more than you should, because NX Eagle is not so much more expensive than the AERO, and bikes on the AERO components will be not considerably cheaper. Okay, and now let's start with the advantages. 3 of those. The frame. Merida BigNine has very good alloy frame, well made, stiff, pretty light, because even those cheaper versions will weigh below 12 kilograms, which is very good. The insert for the internal cable routing are very well made. You have additional bolt to secure the port, and also in the port on the other side, where you actually use the cables, you have additional bolts inside the port so that you can secure the cable. No rattling. It will also not move in and out, so you always have the shape of the housing as you would like to be, and so the shifting on this bike is really good. So I'm still a fan of the external cable routing, but this is very well made. So the frame is really good stuff. We've got through axle in the rear, we've got boost system, no problems with bottom bracket, both on the previous version I've been riding Merida BigNine Lite on the AERO, this one on SRAM. No squeaking, no problems, very good. One of the best alloy frames for the cross-country racing bikes, period. Second advantage, the wheels. Merida make really good wheels for their bikes, at least on the BigNine. I don't really know what's the difference between the Expert and the Comp version, because the Comp rims will come on those cheaper Merida BigNine bikes. This one is Expert, but the wheels are pretty light, stiff enough, and it's easy to make it as a tubeless, even with these icons, which are not really made in tubeless ready system. So this is already a tubeless system, easy to set up. I like it. Frame, number 1, wheels, number 2, and the fork. Manitou Markor is really something I would recommend you to buy or have a bike on, because it is light, it is very stiff, torsionally stiff during the braking, during some aggressive cornering. You're gonna love it. I guarantee you. You also have the remote lockout on the bike, so it's locked now. It's open. That's it. I do like it, and also this arc here being on this side makes the fork stiffer, but also it will make your stanchions more clean because of stopping the mud here. So this is good thing. All right, so these are the 3 advantages of Merida BigNine NX edition. And now let's compare this one to Trak Procaliber 6. It will be a little bit more expensive. It will have the ISO speed system, so a little bit more comfort on the frame. But that bike will be about 250 grams heavier than the Merida. probably because of that ISO-speed system, so the frame will be heavier, but also Trak has got the RockShox Judy at the front and some lower components. So it's not a tie. I would say this one is better here, but I don't want you to think that I am the Merida guy and I'm saying this bike is better, because I'm gonna compare this one to Scott in the second, all right? But the fork is definitely better than RockShox Judy. RockShox Judy has 30mm stanchions. This part right here, this tube, which makes the bike less stiff than on the Markor. Markor has 32mm, and that's the standard for cross-country racing bikes. Okay, so they are close. If you really want to have more comfort, you don't have the money for another like full suspension bike, and you very often ride on the bumpy terrain, and you want to sit on the saddle a bit more, ISO-speed might be something for you. So it's a trade. And then we've got Scott scale, but there are two models very close to each other. One is alloy and the other one is carbon. Scott scale 950 is the alloy bike, also NX Eagle drivetrain, RockShox Judy at the front. It will be about $100 cheaper than this one. I'm talking about prices in Poland. Your country might be a little bit different. You can also have a little bit different specs, but I think this is international, this model here. So Scott scale 950 will be a little bit cheaper, and it should be 50 grams lighter. So the weight will be almost the same. I think RockShox Judy having 30mm stanchions can be lighter, but this Markor is pretty light, so I'm not sure which one is lighter. But anyway, Scott's should be that 50 grams. It's not much, but I want to mention that it's lighter. Look at all the components, because Scott will have Shimano MT200, I guess, brakes. Trak will have Shimano MT400. This one has Shimano MT500 for 2 or 1 finger operation, so it's better for racing. So just look at all the components, compare, because the bikes are close, but they are not on the same components or group sets. That's important. So it will also be quite close between Merida BigNine NX Edition and the Scott Scale 950. But then you go to Scott Scale 940, it will be almost the same price as the Merida, and it will have the carbon frame. The thing is, the carbon frame, the 940 with the carbon frame, will be a bit heavier than the 950, which means they give you some basic carbon frame, which can be good, but it's not super advanced. It's quite basic. It's not super light. It's just light. And they give you some lower components. You pay more because you get carbon frame, and you have a little bit heavier bike. So which one to choose? Let me help you now with the choice. As I mentioned, if the comfort is the thing you need, this is not a test of Trak and Scott. This is just a comparison. This one I've made already between 500 and 800 kilometers on this one. So this is the test. Just comparing theoretically what's on the paper with Scott and Trak. So Trak ISO speed, sometimes it can get loud, that elastomer part, but I have a couple of riding buddies who use it and they are happy with it. So I think maybe the ISO speed plus carbon seat post would be very comfortable cross-country hardtail. More expensive, considerably heavier. So that's one thing. The second thing, the carbon Scott 940, in my opinion, is just the base for the upgrade, because in my opinion there is no sense of buying a carbon bike with such a low components which will be heavier than the cheaper alloy hardtail. Okay, so if you want to really go high and upgrade, maybe different wheels, the carbon seat post, carbon cockpit, and so maybe carbon crankset, that would be at the Scott scale 940, I think, would be very good base for that. You could build a very light bike. I would still try to find out what's the weight of the frame of that Scott. It's not super advanced carbon frame. And finally, the alloy Scott and the alloy Merida, that would be my choice. These bikes will be under $1,700, under 12 kilograms, ready to race bikes, one by drivetrain. That's it. I wouldn't be really upgrading too much on the bikes. The fork is important and it's better on the Merida. The Manitou marker stands out. You will feel it's stiffer in the terrain than RockShox Judy Silver or Gold. So that's important. Otherwise, these are good bikes. As I said, because of the new thing, which is the NX Eagle, a little bit overpriced. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get some nice deals in your local store, because that's how they operate. They sell through the local stores. This one, flawless, very good. Which one I would buy? That's the last question. Well, guys, I wouldn't buy a bike on the NX because I do like 2x drivetrains, playing with different cassettes. That's one thing, and I would rather save the money. Merida Big.Nine with the Manitou marker in the front and Shimano DEORA components, in my opinion, crush it. Much cheaper and still very good bikes. But if you want to have race ready 1x12 drivetrain, don't upgrade everything, have the remote lockout, because on that one, on the cheaper Merida Big.Nine, you will have to buy the lockout, the remote lockout, even though the fork will be the same. That's the bike for you. I hope it was quite clear for you. Those bikes are very close to each other, and we're gonna be doing some nice cross-country racing on this bike this season. But anyway, you have the review before it sells out. So that's it. If you have further questions, until Sunday, I'm gonna be checking each and every comment on this under this video, and I will try to answer those all. That's it for today. See you, and guys, Saturday race. Bye bye.